Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Today I am putting together the cattle panel trellises that are going to trellis the tomato plants in the raised bed garden here. We have all of these different raised beds. They're all filled hugelkultur style. I got one right back there that is going to need to be filled, and 3 more that need to be built that are just like that one over there. And I have all the tomatoes laid out, and I have a couple of the cattle panel trellises laid out as well. I was just trying to get an idea of length and things like that, and kind of how I'm going to go ahead and lay these out. I don't want to cut up my cattle panels because I don't know, they're expensive, and I don't know if this is likely not going to be the permanent setup. I'm going to eventually probably come in and just make this one big long bed once these pallets actually give way. So I don't want to cut them up. And so I'm just going to eliminate these walkways here, and they're just going to be trellised off, and we're just going to try and figure this one out. I'm doing this based off of Roots and Refuge's type of cattle panel trellising, and I'm going to try and figure it out. I've never done this before, so I figured I'd bring you guys along and show you kind of the first time doing this, trying to figure it out, see if I can come up with any tricks or shortcuts or pitfalls to avoid, things like that. I'm going to try and share those with you. So let's get on this. So now that I am ready to actually start pounding in the T-posts, I kind of figured out I can do one about 2 feet in on T-posts. I can do one on each end of the beds. They're 12 feet long, so if I do one 2 feet in, then that'll give me about 8 feet spacing. And then also the same thing on each of the beds, and that'll give me roughly 8-foot spacing. Between the aisles it'll be a little bit closer together, which is totally fine by me. But so I'm going to go ahead and just start pounding in all the T-posts that I need. I don't think I have quite enough. I have 20 of the 6-foot T-posts, so I'm going to go ahead and just do this main row here, and then however much I have left over. So I have enough T-posts for 5 beds, and so I'm going to go ahead and just pound in all of those T-posts and then set up the cattle panels. So I'm probably just going to do this row here and then that one there. And then if I have time later today, I'll run to Tractor Supply or Coastals or something and pick up more of the 6-foot ones for this row, or I'll just do that tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're just going to kind of focus. The main focus is going to be just on this here row, and we're just going to bust it out as quick as we possibly can and get all of these cattle panels up and ready to plant all these tomatoes that are obviously here waiting to be planted. So we had a little bit of a change of plans. Any of you guys out there who have seen the videos of where I was actually building these knows I built these as hugelkultur style beds. And basically with the hugelkultur bed, it's filled with wood underneath here. And while I did think about the possibility of it being an issue, I still was willing to move forward and just experiment and see if it was an issue. It's an issue. I don't think it's so much the wood inside that's the issue as so much as the softness of the soil inside of the bed. It's a 3-way mix of like a sandy loam. No, it's half compost and then half of a 3-way mix between a sandy loam, sand, I think, and topsoil, something like that. So it's a very soft soil, and it's just not enough to really hold up and brace the weight that these cattle panels are eventually going to have to trellis. So improvised plan here is I'm just putting in one in between each of the beds, and then since I'm already going to be cutting off the aisle, I went ahead and just pounded these into the ground for much more stability and much more security. So that's the plan here. I'm just putting one at the end here, one in the middle, and then one in the middle of the bed, and one in the middle of the aisle. And I'm just going to run the trellises all the way down, and I'm going to overlap them right here. And so both trellises are going to be overlapped here. So I'll show you what I mean in the end. I just want to kind of show you my thought process here. I don't think it was secure enough to just attach in the beds. And when I have the solid, secure ground, why not use it? So I'm just going to go ahead and pound all these T-posts in, show you what I'm doing, and we'll check back in when I'm finished with that part of it. So we're having a hard time getting these things lined up to be exactly straight. So we're going to go ahead. We ran the first pipe and we ran the second T-post, and then we're just going to, or the last one, first and last. So we're just going to go ahead and run twine between them and then line them up that way. Okay, so with Malachi's help and his buddy Josh, we were able to get all of these trellises up. It probably took maybe an hour and a half, I would guess. Maybe 2 hours, but I think more like an hour and a half. And they're all finished, they're all up. And just a couple of things that we figured out is that, number one, my land is not level, so they're all kinds of wonky and just weird angles and stuff like that. And some of them, especially over here, especially right here, we had to definitely do quite a bit of adjustment on that one. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Some of them, I mean, really it's just easy. It's just simple. It's just a matter of having enough people. You're definitely not going to be able to do it by yourself. I thought in the beginning I'd be able to do it by myself, and thankfully they showed up right when they did, because I was never going to be able to get this done on my own without completely destroying all the tomatoes that I had laid out. It was not going to happen. So it's definitely at least a 2-person project. 3 people is really easy, because one person can hold up each end of the cattle panel while the other person does the zip ties in place, and makes it go super quick, super easy. And another part of it is I'm probably going to have to come through and rebrace the centers, because they're in the beds, they're not secure at all, not even a little bit. Just the ones that are over here on the sides, these are the only ones that are actually secure, the ones that are in the ground. The ones in the center are basically just a waste of space. So if you have really soft raised bed soil, particularly towards the bottom, you're going to have a hard time like I'm going to have to figure out some way of, like, some of the ones that they're mostly bowing towards the center. I have to come up with a way to keep them kind of pulled out, maybe some kind of bracing in the ground. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but building them, they're complete. Now it's just going to be kind of going through later on and making sure that they stay structurally sound with all the weight that's going to be on them, and we'll kind of see how that goes. So yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's necessarily the hugelkultur underneath. I'm sure that's part of it, but part of it's also just the soil's new and soft and fluffy and light, and that's just going to be a problem with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring you guys along for everything throughout the season, each of the fixes that I do with these. And so be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to know kind of the ins and outs of this cattle panel trellising system from somebody who's never done it before and is just trying to figure out how to do it, and all the adjustments and tweaks and different sorts of things. I'll bring you along for all of that. So thanks for watching as we set up this Roots and Refuge style trellising system for our tomatoes. And then next up, we're going to be planting the tomatoes. Going to be doing that probably maybe today, but probably maybe tomorrow as well. We'll see how it goes. But this is just about the cattle panel trellises, getting them all set up and kind of showing you what's involved with it and what it takes and how long it takes. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Bye.